Welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be talking about my experience with the Questbridge National College match, what I did, what I wish I'd done differently, and advice I'd give to someone who's about to go into this nightmare-fueled college application process. So just a little bit of background information on myself and what's been going on in my life lately. So I was homeschooled, and I did apply to the National College match. I was a finalist. I was a Questbridge prep scholar my junior year. So I had a little bit of experience prior to the National College match. Recently in my life, I just graduated from high school and I moved a week after that to Baton Rouge and became a senatorial aide for my second year in a row. But that's been so time consuming being a senatorial aide, and hopefully in the next week I'll be able to post my new video about a day in the life as a senatorial aide, and y'all can get a little bit of a glimpse into that life. So I'm going to be scrolling through the application as I talk about it, but I also have a little list right here of things that I wish I had done differently. So just for number one on my list, but they're not in any order, I'm just telling y'all as I can remember and write it down. So have college backups for your backups. I know that might seem what everyone's been telling you, or maybe you've heard this, but I wish I had a more systematic, I wish I had prepared more for the worst and less for the best case scenarios. So I was, like I said, a prep scholar my junior year, and then I was a National College match finalist, and I was so excited. And I will say that Questbridge really kind of give you really high expectations going into the college application process and the college admissions process, and I didn't have the best experience with it, but it wasn't all negative by any means. I'm just saying that you shouldn't always prepare for the best case scenario, and a lot of the times it's not going to work out, and you're just going to be in the majority of the population when it doesn't work out, because these schools are so competitive to get into. So obviously, but for instance, in my case, like I said, I was a prep scholar, and then I was a National College match finalist. Great, right? So when you sign for your agreements, I initially had 12 schools that I said I would match to, and that was before I was alerted to my finalist status. And then when I was a finalist, as y'all may already know, that you can edit your list of match schools. So I went down from, I want to say 8 or 7 schools to 3, and that was Barnard College, Brown University, and Princeton University. And I did not match to any of those schools. And at the time, my number one choice was Barnard College, but they rejected me early decision. And so that was December 15th. So I had a 2-week period between when the match was released and I wasn't matched, and I wasn't too worried because I knew that my chances were I was more likely to be accepted in early decision. But then when I was rejected early decision, I had about 2 weeks from the time I was rejected early decision at Barnard to submitting the majority of my applications for regular decision. So just have this prepared so that if you don't match and you don't get into your early decision school, have a list of schools and have some applications that are 80 to 90% completed, so that if you get rejected to your number one school early decision, you have these other colleges and applications ready to go. Because I was way behind, because I was a little bit optimistic about the whole application process. But you have got to have these other applications ready so that worst case scenario, you have these, you get rejected from that early decision school, you have these other applications and these other universities that you still like ready to go, so that you are not running. All Christmas break, I was just running. Christmas Day, I think I took the day off, and my birthday's right after Christmas, and I took those 2 days off. But I think I still applied to a few schools those days. But it was just really stressful, and honestly, probably not my best work when I was just in a time crunch. Because I did end up applying to 34 universities, and like I just said, what about 30 of those applications were from December 15th when I was rejected, and then it took a few days of just rejection depression. So that took some time to, I would say a lot of the schools were January 1st or January 3rd or 4th, so there was not a lot of time for me to get these applications together. So I'm gonna say it one more time: have your college backup applications ready to go if you are participating in the match, and then an early decision if the match doesn't work out, have some backups for regular decision. So worst case scenario, best case scenario, you get into a school with a match, or maybe you are accepted early decision or early action, then you can just throw away these applications. But it's better to be more prepared, and I wish I had done that because I think it would have helped me get into more schools. I also want to just also mention briefly that be specific in the essays that you write for the National College Match. You can't be too specific. You can't be too detailed about your own life and the what makes you unique and what makes your life unique and your personality or what your interests are. You can't be too specific, because I think that really helps, and it really kind of, I believe, helps your writing and the quality of your essay. I would also like to say that I applied to 34 schools, like I said, but a lot of those schools they weren't what I was really after. I didn't realize this, but out of the 34 schools, a lot of the schools were really similar, and I didn't need to apply to those schools. So if a school like, let's say Williams, who rejected me, I shouldn't have also applied to a school like Colby, because there's a lot of overlap in those two colleges. So the chances were that if a school like Williams was going to reject me, Colby was going to reject me, which is what happened. So I realized that a lot of these schools are very similar. So like a school like Hamilton and Colgate, I applied to both of those schools, and they both ended up rejecting me. Well, one was a wait list, but they both ended up rejecting me. So I really didn't need to apply to those two schools. So I would just say to someone out there, if there's a type of school that you really like, I would also try to apply to a few schools outside of that type, but just stick in that type if you know that's you're the ideal student. And I should have seen that I wasn't the type of student who belonged at some of these colleges, and I wouldn't have applied if I had put more thought into it, which goes back to what I said earlier, when having a more detailed, more thought out plan of worst case scenario of I'm applying regular decision or I'm applying early decision, have that prepared so that you aren't running in place, you aren't so behind, and you aren't applying to schools that don't want you or schools that you wouldn't want to go to. I'd also say that when you are applying to these universities and colleges, more specifically like the liberal arts colleges, a lot of them have quote unquote like additional or extra material that you can submit. No one told me this, but you always need to submit that extra material or chances are you're going to be rejected. So part of applying to less colleges will allow you to invest more time into the additional material. For instance, I did the little video introduction for Brown. Even though I was rejected, I still think it was a good decision I made to show that demonstrated interest and just another thing to add to my application. So do the additional material. And I wish I had tried matching with more schools. I don't know if the outcome would have changed at all, obviously, but I wish I had gone out more on a limb and said, I'm going to try to match to about 8 schools. And I know that would have been a lot more work in between that, almost 2-week period between knowing you're a finalist and when you have to have all the additional material for the match day in. But I wish I had gone out more on a limb and tried matching with other universities. So on the honors portion of the application for the college match, I have Prep Scholar. I was part of the American Legion oratorical contest, and I put that twice. I put the highest GPA in world geography. I was a Southeastern University scholar, which just meant that I went to class for free at the university and gave me some credit. So I thought it was kind of nice. And it was actually university classes. I put down that I was, my team won 2nd place in the robotics state championship. I wrote down twice that I was a part of the speech and debate team at my old high school, and I won some awards for it. But so yeah, there was a lot of I'm looking back on it and it's a little bit embarrassing now, but a lot of the time I probably shouldn't have put 2 awards of the same nature. One would have probably done justice and the other one could have been something different. But like I said, you get tired when you're doing these applications, so you kind of just put down what you can and you move on. You do what you can. But I wish I had maybe done more so they're a little different, because I'm looking and there are 3 groups of awards where they're the same kind of award and they're just different years. So I don't know, that's just something to consider if you're applying. Maybe you're really tired and like, what, forget it. When I applied to the National College Match, I only had an ACT score of a 30, and it was a super score. When I was alerted of my finalist status, a week after that, I took an ACT test again and I made a 31, and so I had to send that score to the schools I said I would match to. So that's just something for information for y'all to know, I guess. So for other activities, I had that I was a Red Cross volunteer, I was a caring teen volunteer at my local hospital, and then I was also the founder of a chapter club with the YMCA with the youth and government. I was in cross country, student council, and that's what I put down for other activities. There's an opportunity to talk about community-based organizations that may have helped you with the applications and with getting prepared, with becoming prepared for the applications. And I was with College Point. I had a counselor who was from Washington State, so really far away, and she helped me over the summer and during the application process, and even now we have our final meeting this like in 2 weeks, and they just really help you with college, period. Preparing for college, applying to college, and what your interests are. So I would totally recommend applying to College Point or to other organizations like that. And it is also nice to just throw it on your application. So I'm just gonna say that too. So I would say the major advantage that the prep scholars have right now, for anyone who's not a prep scholar and who's applying for the college matches, that the prep scholars will have some of these essays already written and done. But I know that I edited mine, and what else did I edited mine severely, and I believe I added a lot more to it. I think that's your major advantage, prep scholars, is that you have this and that you'll know the prompts earlier in the year. But for the non-prep scholars, the rest of y'all out there, y'all can seriously handle this. It's not that bad. Just, you may want to start a few weeks, you may want to start earlier in the when it opens, with the college match application opens, than towards the end, because you will need to catch up a little bit with that essay. Like a 500-word essay, it's not that bad. Have college backups to your backups. Be specific in your essays. Only apply to colleges you really want to go to, because if you don't really want to go to those schools, you're just wasting your time, and the time you could put into the schools you really want to go to is more worth it. But I would say this, apply to a variety. Maybe not 34. I wish I didn't apply to 34. I think if I had applied to 15 schools 100%, I think I would have gotten into more of those 15 schools, but I don't know. If you are first generation, you have a better chance of matching. I'm sure there are people who were not first generation and matched. I mean, I know that is out there, but I'm just saying, don't expect you're going to match if you're not first generation. I'm not saying expect you to match if you're first generation. I'm just saying you have a major advantage in being first generation and matching. So you have a really good chance, is what I'm telling you, from what I've seen and from what Questbridge puts out. I would also say that I knew of about 2 other homeschoolers. One was in Mississippi and one was in Rhode Island. I think one of them matched, and he went to Washington and Lee. I could be wrong. I don't know what happened to the other one, but I don't know of many homeschoolers who have done this. I'm going to tell y'all, it is a really stressful application process. I faced a lot of rejection this year. But there's been a lot of disappointment, and I'm not trying to scare anyone who's about to go through this or make them worried, but it's not talked about enough how much rejection you're going to face. But I'm just saying, it's really tough, and you're going to reflect a lot, and it's going to be really emotionally draining, but it is worth it because it will be over eventually. It does eventually end. But so yeah, so I never got into a Questbridge school as a freshman. I got into several as a sophomore who offered me admission as a transfer student. But yeah, it was really hard, and it's really hard to see your friends who get into these amazing schools as they match, as they get an early decision. And like I said, I did not get into my school early decision, and I think it really affected me and affected my chances when I had a 2-week time period to figure out the schools I was applying to, regular decision, and actually get my applications together. So I'm just saying, if you have a school, if you are thinking that, yeah, I know I'm not going to match, but I'm going to try to apply to the school early decision, make sure you have, I don't know, 8 applications ready to go, so that in the worst case scenario that you do not get into the early decision school, you can submit these applications and a few others if you feel like it, and you'll have time. Like I said, I ran out of time and I wish I had applied to different schools. And also, I applied to test optional to a few of them. That's in a different video of mine. You can see that. And you can also see where I was rejected and where I was accepted on terms and other things. So you can see that in my other videos, and hopefully I'll have some more content out soon. I hope this helps, and hopefully you can see all these essays. And if anyone has any questions about Questbridge or college admissions or anything, please let me know and I'll be happy to respond. Questbridge is amazing, and I do not regret applying or being a match finalist or trying to match and not getting matched. But I'm just saying, Questbridge is awesome. Yes, totally apply. Even if you get rejected, it's really good essay work and practice, but apply to other scholarships too. Like, I didn't apply to scholarships like Gates or Koch or the Koch scholarship or Jack Kent Cook or all these other scholarships, and I wish I had. I wish I had applied to more of those scholarships, because I think it would have, my chances would have been higher, but I ran out of time, and like I said, I didn't do proper planning beforehand. And also, I was just tired. I was just tired of applying to things, so I kind of just stopped. And I wish I hadn't, because like I said, I was really optimistic at the start of the year about the application process and about college admissions, when in reality, I should have been like, Sophie, what are you doing? You really should plan this out more, and you really should have backups to your backups, and have other scholarships you're applying to. And a lot of the reason why I didn't apply to these other scholarships was because I needed to have so many recommendation letters, and I'm a homeschooler and I have very limited access to other teachers and professors who I've worked with, so it's hard to find recommendation letters that aren't from your parents. And so I didn't apply to these I didn't apply to these other scholarships, because I was like, why would I give them my recommendation letter from my mom? Because that wouldn't be good. And there's a lot of emotion in the admissions process and in their senior year, so just good luck, and I hope this helped. And if, like I said, if you have any questions, please let me know. Bye.